chance to hear it, so let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerned. You hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Thursday, I can smell it, I can feel it. Oh yes, the weekend is just around the corner. Welcome one and all, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. It's good to be back with you today, broadcasting from the beautiful Cayman Islands. Hot as the hinges of hell, but I'm just happy to call Cayman my home, like so many of you. And today's episode, I'm hoping will definitely get your attention with those real field temperatures of 104 degrees, pretty much holding. And we know some parts of the world and in the region are feeling more real-like temperatures, even hotter than that. So that's why remember I started talking about it a few episodes ago, and I think that was earlier this week, and during the Free Flow Friday, I mentioned something and I shared some images with you, and hence me just wanting to dive down into this discussion this evening, because little did I know, a century-long cooling patch in the North Atlantic is really shaping rainfall. It's connected to drought risks, heat, food prices, tourism. Yes, it has even gone that far. And a daily life across the Caribbean. And scientists are now understanding why. And the answer has direct implications for right here at home, Jamaica, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Barbados, St. Lucia, and the wider Caribbean. So in this episode, it is my aim, and I have a few slides that I will share with you because I know it just all connects and blends better, much well. We're going to talk about what is AMOC. AMOC is the acronym, and why that matters, and why the North Atlantic cold patch is a warning sign, and really how rainfall will change across the Caribbean. It will even its impacts on agriculture, business, tourism, cost of living, and on water as well. And there's also linked to mental health pressures. Yes. And if time permits, we will delve into what communities should realistically prepare for. And I'll have some practical recommendations when you look at it from a broader scope, from a broader lens for individuals and families and even businesses alike. So I'm hoping that you stick around with me today and definitely share the link and let your friends know that we're live, because this is not fear. This is more public education than you will understand, grounded by science. And it is my aim to deliver as best as I can with clarity and focusing on how we can empower our region to understand the changes that are already on their way. But before we get into that this evening, please remember that the views expressed by callers, guests, and online commenters are their own and not those of Bridge Media Limited, its affiliates, Sabrina Speaks Show, or the host. This program is for general information only and not a substitute for legal, medical, financial, or professional advice. Now, all participants are reminded to speak responsibly, respectfully, and any content that is defamatory, discriminatory, or unlawful, or even harmful is strictly prohibited and definitely will not be endorsed or tolerated. Now, listener participation implies acceptance of this disclaimer, but we want you to stick around. The number to call, or you can WhatsApp me on, again, is 345-936-8255. Make sure that you like and follow, share the page with your friends for a number of reasons. So you're always notified, and you never miss an episode. Welcome, one and all, as you continue to join me here this evening. I got some information coming in here. Yeah, I'll keep you up to date with what we got. But let's take a look at what's happening with our weather forecast. Compliments of our friends there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. The synopsis is calling for some showers that are expected today due to the passage of a tropical wave that's south of the area. Now, isolated thunderstorms are forecasted during the next 24 hours due to residual moisture and the presence of an upper level trough. In addition, the gentle breeze that we're feeling, yes, even though subtle, will continue due to the weak pressure gradient, and seas will be slight to moderate in open waters. The forecast for tonight is calling for cloudy spells with a 30% chance of showers and thunder. Temperatures will fall to the low 80s. Winds will be northeast 5 to 10 knots. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Tomorrow's forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies with cloudy spells and a 30% chance of showers and thunder. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s with a heat index near 109 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, winds will be easterly 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. There will be a high tide at 11:40 this evening, a low tide at 6:06 a.m. tomorrow morning, and another high tide is expected at 11:25 a.m. tomorrow. Sun will set this evening at 7:06 and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 5:52. Now, the outlook is calling for a gradual increase in the chance of thunderstorms from Saturday through Sunday due to the passage of another tropical wave to the south of the area and the presence of an upper level trough. There you have it. We want to thank our friends over there at the Cayman Islands National Weather Service, but hoping you can plan ahead for the weekend and know what's in the forecast. The key is it's a forecast. To always be prepared and keep it locked to your local channels for all the latest details and happenings. Yes, I can see you all coming in there and I see trouble lurking like that harbor shark. But before we actually go there for that segment, which I know a lot of you look forward to, let's take a look at what's happening in our local news and regional, even our business roundup for today. Starting with local news, we see the Law Reform Commission is inviting public comments on the new discussion paper, Cannabis Reform, Options for Harm Minimization Framework. Now, the paper reviews how other jurisdictions have approached recreational cannabis use and outlines several reform options for Cayman, including possible decriminalization, possession limits, administrative penalties, and the treatment of historic minor conviction. Now, the document is available online and submissions must be sent to the Commissioner by September 1st, 2026. The Cayman Islands government has released a summary of Cabinet's meeting held on Wednesday, the 17th of June. Now, at that session, Cabinet approved the 2024 supplementary plan and estimates and the related appropriation bill for presentation to Parliament. Members also noted the Consumer Price Index report for January to March of 2026, confirmed appointments to the National Recognition Awards Committee for 2027, and reviewed the Cineco annual report for 2025, authorizing it to be tabled in Parliament. Cabinet has also approved higher duty-free allowance for returning residents delivering targeted cost of living relief ahead of the busy summer travel season. Now, from yesterday, July 1st to the 31st of August, residents may bring in personal and household goods worth up to 1,000 CI dollars duty-free, followed by permanent increase on the standard allowance from $500 CI to $800 CI that will start on September 1st. Now, the CI 1,000 threshold will return for Christmas travel. Official says that the change are designed to ease back to school and holiday expenses while keeping the system fair and transparent. In other local news, we turn to one of our own delicacies because we've noticed the sale of turtle meat has quietly resumed at Cayman Turtle Center, ending what appeared to be a nearly 2-month interruption that left restaurants and consumers facing a shortage across the islands. Now, officials says that distribution is now back on track, with availability expected to stabilize as supply returns to normal. The resumption comes after weeks of limited access and growing demand from local eateries and households. We turn our attention to what's news is making regional headlines here this afternoon on the Sabrina Speaks show, starting with Barbados. Yes, because Barbados incoming Commissioner of Police Sonia Boyce says her leadership will center on results, professionalism, and public trust. Now, she succeeds Acting Commissioner Erwin Boyce, who has served in the post for the past 5 years. Authorities have confirmed, however, that there's no familiar relationships between the two. And in her first address following the symbolic handover ceremony, Sonia Boyce outlined her vision as she prepares to assume the office on Friday, signaling a focus on strengthened standards and public confidence. Nationwide news out of Jamaica this evening is reporting that the Jamaican government will petition King Charles for legal guidance on its slavery reparations claim against Britain. Now, Culture Minister Olivia Babs-Grange announced during her sectoral debate presentation in the House of Representatives, noting that the petition is intended to clarify the legal pathway for advancing Jamaica's longstanding reparatory justice efforts. Now, official says the move forms part of a broader national strategy on reparations. In other regional news today, out of Trinidad, just minutes before going live, a routine fishing trip in the Gulf of Paria turned into a terrifying ordeal for Rakesh Donath and his son, Ronaldo. The two were allegedly hijacked by 4 pirates speaking Spanish, robbed and thrown overboard, leaving them to fight for survival in open waters. Now, the pair eventually made it back to shore and reported the incident. Authorities are investigating and urging fishermen to remain vigilant as piracy concerns continue in the area. BBC News is reporting this evening that a man has been rescued alive after being trapped for 8 days in the rubble of a collapsed building following the twin earthquakes in Venezuela. Now, emergency team says the survivor was found during continued search and rescue operations across heavily affected areas. His rescue offers a rare moment of hope as official warns that hundreds remain missing and conditions on the ground are extremely challenging. Out of the UK, and great news this evening because earlier, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says pubs across England will be allowed to stay open until 5 a.m. on Monday to accommodate fans watching England's World Cup match against Mexico. Now, the extended hours are being granted as a one-off measure to support national celebrations and avoid crowding in public spaces. Official says that the temporary change is intended to guide venues, to give venues flexibility and ensure supporters can enjoy the match safely and responsibly. Now, that must be ease, and definitely for all of those people in that line of business, they must be happy that that is happening. Let's take a look at what's making you or business market closings for today, because global markets closed mixed today as investors weighed fresh economic data and ongoing geopolitical pressures. The Dow Jones ended slightly higher, with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ posted modest gains. Most posted modest declines. In the region, trading, the FTSE 100 slipped amid weakness in the energy sector, while Brent crude held steady. Now, currency markets saw the US dollar firm against major pairs, with the Cayman Islands dollar maintaining its stable peg. Analysts says markets remain cautious heading into tomorrow's trading session. There you have it. That concludes our evening news. And that's regional and business market report. I know a lot of you are waiting to see the matches that are going to be taking place later, and kudos to all of you waiting for it. Lots line up, even as we lead on into the weekend. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited for what's to come, even though I got some commitments that I got to show up to. But yeah, I'm excited for what is on the horizon. And I am really, it's really getting interesting now, and you're hearing more and more who are like, oh, we suffered the loss, but yeah, let me find a new bestie, that type of thing. I'm seeing it. I'm hearing it in the conversations, but that's okay. It's a game, and it's full of emotions. I am seeing some days up, some days down. Some matches will make your heart feel like it's coming through your mouth, and OMG, yeah, it's rough. It is rough. Well, let's send some birthday shout outs, because we've reached that section of today's episode where we celebrate people celebrating their birthday, and we celebrate along with them. Sasha Ebanks, my girl. Happy birthday to you, my love. Happy 50th birthday to you. Hoping you're enjoying your day and you have officially entered the 50s club, girl. Welcome. No sense being ashamed, no sense being scared either. It is definitely something to embrace and be proud of. Yep. And to all of those other persons who are celebrating birthdays, happy birthday to you from all of us here on the Sabrina Speaks family, just in case we missed you out. It is not intentional. It is not deliberate. We just want to celebrate and share that with you here on the Sabrina Speaks platform. So those who may be celebrating anniversaries as well, of course, why not? Why not celebrate you on your special day? Wishing you many, many more to come, and many, many years of trials, arguments. You look at them and you cut your eye, but you still love them. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah. It's called compromise. That's what it's all called. Yes, you both live in each other's space, get to know each other. That's what it's all about. And we know those of you out there who are mourning the loss of a loved one, you're not forgotten. We want you to know that our thoughts and prayers are with you as you navigate this time. And, we're just sending our sincere condolences to all of you who are going through that time. That's right. So welcome. I see you guys are coming in. And what is your problem? I'm not convinced that you're always out on the road. I'm actually thinking that you're doing this and you're somewhere. So I'm going to leave this to my people to decide whether or not that I'm judging, but I am not convinced. Otherwise, you check in somebody there and you know exactly who I'm talking about. That's why I love these spaces, because you all will figure out who I'm talking about. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I'm talking about that one. Scene one. As we head on into the weekend, I just need to remind you that lots are going on. And definitely as we celebrate Mango Fest, that's going to be kicking off. Tonight is tomorrow, Friday the 3rd, is the pre-launch dinner. Remember, that's at Catalina Indigo Hotel, $30 per person to kick it off. And then Saturday, the streets in town, out by the Cayman Islands National Museum, will be transformed as we celebrate all things mango. And that is going to take place from 5 until 8 p.m. Local food, maybe you can get some turtle meat. Maybe. But want to go out celebrate Mango Fest and all that's I'm looking forward to it. To be honest, I'm going to go and try to participate. Yep. And see some people. And also I need to assist in pushing this because this is a summer camp that's being put on by the National Museum. Yeah. And it's just a few weeks ago and they're asking you to secure your spot because this will happen 20th to 24th of July and the 24th to the 31st of July. So here on screen, you will see it, where to register, www.museum.ky/immerse if you want to go and register. So you can register your kids for this. Now, it is not for free. $250 per camper per week, okay? So yeah, it's $250 a child. So you want to make sure that if you're interested and you want to go and take part of that, there you have it. So that's another camp that we bumped into. And Sister Islands, you're not forgotten because Sister Island Sports Unit, there's your 2026 sports summer camps that is happening. Football camp from ages 6 to 16. There's also basketball camp from 7 to 16, swimming, cricket, rookie lifeguard camp as well. So it didn't only just happen here in Grand Cayman, the Sister Island Sports Unit, and this also runs from July 7th straight on till August 7th. There we go. So these camps, you see it here on your screen, you can get and participate in, and make sure that you actually enroll your children into these camps. But you don't want to just drop them off, right? You want to make sure that you line them up with something that they are actually going to have a liking for. That's the key for that. So Sister Islands, you are not forgotten. Here you are. The sports unit over there in the BRAC has also done this for you. So there you go. These are all taking place between the Kim and BRAC Sports Complex, the layman-'s High School Court. Also, the swimming camp, though, is saying there's a caution here that must be able to swim 25 meters unassisted. Okay. So if your child or children cannot swim, you don't want to enroll them into the swimming camp. Okay. And also the cricket camp will be taking place at the Kim and BRAC Sports Complex. All right. Now, the rookie lifeguard camp, here's a important message on that. You must be able to tread water for 60 seconds and must be also able to swim 25 meters unassisted. Now, this will be done in a 25-meter pool, okay? And the various times are there. But I'll share these posters. I'll do a rotating thing, a reel on the page. I'll just put them all together and I'll just do a reel for you so that you guys can see them for yourself and make sure that you can get enrolled and don't miss out. So your kids don't have to be home this summer, not doing anything if you're not traveling. And even if you're traveling and you come back, then, you can still get them into something else. And there is a chart of 5K walk run, more than a race, more than an athlete. This is taking place at Saturday, the 4th of July at the Safe Haven Drive. Registration is at 5:45 a.m. and race time is at 6:30 a.m. This is all taking place this Saturday. So there you go, from the healthier side of things, and keeping you all informed. And remember, thank you for all of the fabulous feedback yesterday at the discussion of Melanie and I in etiquette. But yes, remember that registration deadline ends on July 17th for the Polished Presence Etiquette Week of 2026. So yes, that is from July 27th to the 31st. Those are the dates. And there you have it. But you got all of that, that whole package yesterday, which the feedback that was received was amazing. I thank you all for sticking and staying with us, and for even the troublemakers that were actually just pushing the limits there. Oh, yeah, we want to thank you. Let's see who's here with us. Donnie's in the house. Oh, good evening, Donnie. It's so good to have you joining me this evening. And Connie as well. She's saying good evening, Auntie Sabrina, community activist and the crew. Alfred Reed is here. Good evening to you as well. Damien Henry from the UK, yes, he's saying good evening all. And what's your words for today? He's saying, like a lone tree standing firm against the wind, there is a quiet beauty in remaining faithful to your soul. While the world may try to reshape you with its expectations, true strength is found in embracing your own voice, walking your own path, and blooming in your own season. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. You are so right. You don't care what people say. Be you, whatever makes you happy, whatever satisfies you. Connie Bonnie, anti-USA was treated unfairly last night, but see how it turned out. Oh yeah, I saw it. That was not called for. It was not intentional when the US players accidentally came down on the opponent's ankle. But oh my God, that must have been painful. And they got a red card and they played one man down and they still took it home. They scored another goal after that. Yeah, I saw it. It was not fair, I don't think. And even the crowd, but you know, who God bless, no man curse. So that's what I'm telling you. Your emotions go up and down and you get angry. And then there was a time I was watching it and I'm like, kick the ball like you want to kick it. It's like they were just doing these little baby kicks. Yeah. I just had the entire living room for myself, yelling and shouting. And mind you, this is somebody who just likes a good game. Mr. Man Behave, you hear? Oh, so you know. Plain and Straight is here with us this evening. Plain and Straight, good evening, my dear. They're saying, K-Man and Sabrina, it is a pleasure to have you. Andrew is here as well. Good evening. Blessed Thursday to you and the Cayman Islands. Always good to have you on board, Andrew. Michelle, how you doing, girlfriend? Good evening to you and the Cayman Islands. Damien Henry is also saying, that's modern football for you. You you have to be perfect. Oh, you have to be perfect for the system. Yeah, man, that was really a bad call. Even a caution, but a yellow card. But I didn't think the red card was justifiable because even the commentators were saying it was obviously non-intentional and it just happened. It's the sport. So, but hey, again, who God bless, no man curse. What he said, I hope you deleted that picture I sent by mistake. That would be cheating. OMG. No, man, that's be good. I just was like, how the heck you would have expected me to say that anyhow? I just laugh. Oh my goodness. Yeah, man. We good. And you know I didn't put it up, so don't worry about it. And that's Connie's flowers for today. Thank you very much, Connie Bonnie. Thank you for that. Your secret's safe for me, girl. You call content creators and bloom. That's all that matters. Beautiful, beautiful orchids today. Yep. I'm loving it. And Donnie from Green Valley Nursery, content creators in bloom. That's all I'm worried about. That's it. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. And here is Donnie sending us some beautiful beauties. Yes, from Green Valley Nursery out there in Lower Valley. They're open from Monday to Saturday from 7 until 4, and they're closed on Sunday. So these are some of the beauties I'm quite sure that you can either steal, and if I were like her, I'd sell anything that we see here. Somebody said, I saw that on the Sabrina Speaks show. Do you have this? Because they could screenshot it. Girl, sell it. But these are their beauties for today. And thank you so much for sharing those with us. Now, for those of you who caught on to the hint just now, that I'm not convinced that this is everything. This is a everyday, but sending me now their flowers for today. And I'm hoping that the personality that came out yesterday don't come out today, because Alfred Real sent us his flower of the day. What do you think about that? Now, you tell me why I gotta do with this student. And it looked like he got a Spanish bite. Something is up with this, Connie. Me and you gonna have to be Nancy Drew detectives on this. Tell me what this is now. Some skillet thing. Is this that the table kind of looks the same? Are we at the same location? because I could be looking further into you. I could be all up in your engine to find out what's going on, that you're frequenting this particular location that I'm thinking it's at. So you just opened up a Pandora box about you you shy and you this and you that. Oh yeah, I'm building a case file on you. I am yeah, stir fry. I know. Yeah, but look at the table. We can look at yesterday's. Connie, we could check that person out. But you know what? I asked for scenery. I asked for flowers. We got fruits, and now we're sending these delicious looking dishes, which that's probably another segment that we're going to include here. What are you eating? Or what have you had? So yeah, Fred, trouble, we could be up in your business just like that. See, Connie is asking if she can get some. Bunanunas is asking if she can get some. OMG. Oh my goodness. Who is he trying to charm? Oh, well, unless he has on darkers and a baseball cap, he seems to be very shy. So I couldn't see him just going all out. Like he'll probably frequent that restaurant for like months on top months before he musters up the nerves to say, how are you, or build it up. You know how it is. Now hear us just doing this man business all out like that. OMG. Oh my God. Yo, you go order. You order. Ask him where it's from. But you know what? He not gonna tell you, because then we gonna know his little spot. Because we could just go and just hide out to see when he's there. We could go. We could check him. Oh my goodness, this is good. Welcome, one and all. Thank you all for logging on, joining on this live stream as we just take poke and jabs at this lighter section of the Sabrina Speaks every evening here. And where's Aliano this evening? He's late to class, or he's on Jerry Springer Beach. Which one? Probably he's checking the real weather for us as he normally do. But it is good to be back here this afternoon, getting into another interesting topic. And I'm hoping that you would appreciate what I'm about to deliver here this evening and make it all make sense with the hot temperatures that we are experiencing, and that it will all make sense, or you can see some relation into what I'm saying. It's not going to be that high tech. Hopefully you will not find it boring, and that I could keep your attention long enough to make it all make sense. And then preparedness is the best thing, because you can make more informed decisions when you are best, one, educated, informed, and understand what's happening with weather patterns. And you may say, well, Christ, what's she talking about, this whole thing in Greenland? What does that have to do with us here in the Caribbean? Oh, really? What does it have? Oh, yes, it does. It is connected, and you would be surprised how it is connected. So I encourage you to stick and stay with me this evening as I break this down here for all of us, hoping that I can bring some clarity and understanding, better understanding overall, to what's really unfolding right before our eyes. That's the wrong one. There we go. I'm getting some slides so that you can follow along with me much better. And because what I'm going to be talking about is something that may sound scientific to you. I'm going to be using some acronyms, but it's not complicated. I'm going to be as layman as I can in how I delivered this to you. I know the game is about to start. There are 2 games, I think, tonight. I respect all of that. But the good thing about showing up here is that you can always go back to this even after the live ends, and you can play catch up on the episodes. Even for those who were celebrating birthdays and playing catch up, we appreciate you touching base with us. But yeah, what we're going to be talking about, Connie is saying, so that individual is sly with the mouth, voice, and beautiful speaking. Nah, you don't think so? Might surprise you. North Carolina Love is joining us this evening. Hello, Marshall. It's good to have you with us. Always a pleasure having you jumping in on the live. But yes, what I'm going to be talking about is something that sounds far away. sounds far away, something that sounds like it belongs into, and I had to do my research. I was doing this for almost a week and a half, 2 weeks. So please bear with me, but to make sure that I keep on track and to deliver how I want to deliver it, because I'm no weather expert, but I tell you what, the more and more you dig and you check reliable sources, you get a better understanding of really what's happening. So I ask for your patience and understanding as I deliver this, because it's all relative to the temperatures, the droughts, the less rainfall, the lower amounts of rainfalls that is forecasted that we have seen. And there is some proof that goes back for over a decade now that is just blowing scientists' mind. And there's a cold blob that's off Greenland that is actually contributing to it and what that means. Because what I'll be talking about and going more in detail is about the part of the Atlantic Ocean that has been quietly cooling for more than 100 years, not a decade, but scientists are just picking up on it. So for more than 100 years, there's a part of the Atlantic that has been quietly cooling, and a patch of the ocean south that sits south of Greenland that scientists called the cold blob. You can go and you can Google it yourself, okay? And no, it's not a movie. I thought it was, I had to really double check it to make sure I was seeing something that was legit, but then it all makes sense. And this is a signal that the ocean has been sending for a century, a signal that it has been sending, and only now we are learning how to read it properly. So in this episode, I'm going to do my best to break it down in pure layman's terms, just clarity, and we're going to be talking about what this cold patch really means, why scientists now believe that, a major ocean system is slowing down, and what the system does to our weather, and how that same change and slowdown affects the rainfall here in the Cayman Islands, Cuba, Jamaica, as far away as Barbados and St. Lucia, and what it means for our daily lives, because you'd be surprised how it all impacts our daily lives. And it has its impacts on businesses as well. And of course, you would know agriculture would be affected. But we extend even our lens just a little bit further out, because they can tie this into having it impact mental health and community resilience. So this is not doom and gloom conversation. I'm hoping that you will understand what I'm trying to do from a public education standpoint. And I invite you to join in on the conversation as well. So settle in, get comfortable, and we want to get started. But because I'm going to be using some acronyms, and it's AMOC, AMOC, and you'll be hearing me talk about the ITCZ. Those two acronyms I'm going to be using this evening to explain certain things, but then they will have their own definition, just so I won't be doing this tongue twister for the entire episode. But to just stick this into your memory, when you hear me say AMOC, AMOC, that means that the Atlantic, that is the acronym for the Atlantic Ocean's conveyor belt. Picture that conveyor belt that goes around with your luggage, or the conveyor belt at the grocery store, right? Picture a conveyor belt. And that conveyor belt is warm waters that is moving north. Then that same water cools, and then it sinks and flows back south. Okay? So the AMOC, AMOC, is a conveyor belt, and that is what it does. Pulls the water out of the Caribbean that is warmer. It cools, that said water sinks, and then it comes back south where it started, right? And when that conveyor belt is weakened, what happens? It changes weather patterns. It's almost like a tidal. Yeah? And then you're going to hear me talking about the ITC as in car, Z as in zebra. That is the tropical rain belt. Yeah. That's the tropical rain belt. And that is the main highway for the rain but the rain near the equator. And for those of you who did geography or was paying attention in school, you know where the equator is in our proximity to the Cayman Islands, right? But this whole thing bundled up in one package is when this conveyor belt slows down, when it weakens, the rain belt itself shifts more south. So places north of the equator then gets less rain, and places closer to the equator gets more or stable rain. So you see what I was saying here? Look at this that's on the screen. That is the conveyor belt effect. And you see where the weakened AMOC is? That's the cold blob that's way up there. You see Greenland that is on the top of the screen. That cold blob right there is what has been cooling. And scientists have discovered now that has been cooling for 100 years. And places closer to this, like I said, to the equator, get more rain. So when you talk about this whole system, that is exactly what's happening with the currents, the water, the warm water being pulled from the bottom, going up to the top, cools and come around. And it's amazing how that impacts our rain pattern. So let's look at it right now and talk about this cold blob and what it really means now that it's there on the system. That cold patch that you're seeing that is south of Greenland is the one that scientists, you would think it's like a horror movie. And while the rest of the Atlantic Ocean has become warm, this one area has cooled by almost 1 full degree Celsius. And that can go back since like the 1900s, right? And what they're saying is that this is very unusual because that's totally out of pattern. And for decades, scientists argued about why that was the case. Some were saying maybe it's because it might be the atmosphere. Some said it might be melting ice. Some said it might even have been just a random ocean behavior that was happening, but then it would eventually come back to its normal temperature to help with this flow and therefore not impacting our rain patterns, right? But today, what scientists are coming to the harsh realization is that they're not guessing anymore, because new research is showing that using over a century of temperatures and, looking at the data, the salinity, that means the amount of sodium, the amount of salt into this information, shows something very clear and very simple. And what that data is showing is that this cold patch is happening because less warm water is reaching that particular area. And the only way that happens is if that AMOC, the AMOC, the ocean's conveyor belt, the only way that's possible, and that's if that is weakening. They no longer are guessing about it. This is not a theory, what the data is showing. This is exactly the results that can go back for almost now 100 years. Because when this warm water stops reaching the far North Atlantic, that region is cool. And when that region cools, it tells the conveyor belt is slowing down. And what we're seeing here, because of that slowdown, it is impacting a lot of things that we're seeing happening right now in real time. And why it is so important for us here in the Caribbean is because if that continues to weaken, it shifts the tropical rain belt more south. And it's proving exactly what we're seeing right now. places north of the equator is getting less rain. And places closer to the equator is getting more stable rainfall. I got some graphs that will show you there's different zones, right? Because when we see our own forecast that has been released from our very own forecasters here in the Caribbean, in not so technical scientific terms, I think they're just giving it to us as real as they can. They're pretty much admitting that in the Caribbean region here at home, Jamaica, Cuba, Puerto Rico, we're drying out, meaning we're having more droughts. We're having longer times where we're not getting rains. And that is why the Eastern Caribbean, places like Barbados, sees a gentle drying trend. It's not as aggressive as ours. And we also are seeing as well, places like St. Lucia is staying stable. It all connects at the end of the day based on the flow and based on where you are in proximity of the equator. So the cold blob that we see way up north is not just a patch of cold water. That is a sounding alarm, a signal, a message from the ocean telling us that the conveyor belt is slowing and that our rainfall patterns, which we're seeing it, speak to our agricultural people, speak to our meteorologist, our rain patterns are changing. You can no longer predict it. This month is rainy season, that month. I remember like clockwork. You could speak to our seniors and they could tell you. They could tell you when we're going to have rain and all that sort of stuff. All of that. That's becoming a little harder. And people are actually saying, well, boy, I can remember this time now. Back in the day, we would have a lot of rain and yet it's changing. And if you understand this conveyor belt system, that will help you prepare, to plan, to protect ourselves, our communities, and come to the realization that this is a reality and it's happening. And thank God for science. Thank God for those who put out there to do the research, that they're able to produce this for us so that we get a clearer understanding of really what's taking place here. Now, what that means where rainfall is concerned, I have some images that will show you that. Because let's bring that home to reality. One of the clearest ways that the oceans itself changes shows in our everyday life, right here across the Caribbean. And we see the bigger picture of things. We can look at our areas where in the Caribbean that totally depends on this for agriculture. And, you know, when these ponds, these rivers or reservoirs dry up, thankfully for us, we have desalination and all that sort of stuff. But on the wider scale of things, we know when less than rainfall happens, the earth gets hotter, right? When that belt moves south, yes, places like us, let's start with here home. We see here, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Cuba, and Puerto Rico. Let's get it right here. We see where these islands sit north of the equator. And what we're seeing here is that when this rain belt shifts, rain slows down. And this means then drier summers that we're feeling right now, more drought cycles, and fewer long time soaking rains. It's just something we beg for. If you look down here on the other side, where you can see places like Barbados, that sits a little further south. They still lose rainfall, but not as sharply as the northern islands. Yeah, their wet season has weakened. But like in our areas, look at that. The dark blue, number 2. I'll break this down for you because I'm going to come back to these slides. That, yeah, number 2, they're not like ours. They're in number 5. And I'll break that down for you, what that means, right? We see where St. Lucia itself sits closer to the equator. And that's the rain belt. And so when this is shifting, we see where St. Lucia, places like St. Lucia, may actually get the same amount of rain. They may not see the dip, the drop, or the heighten. They pretty much remain neutral. But what it means for the region is that we won't all experience the same changes. No, we won't. Some islands will definitely completely dry out. Some will be in a red zone, and some will be stable enough. And a few may even get slighter, wetter weather. We have seen Brazil. We've heard about the landslides. We have seen Nicaragua, some parts of Honduras and Guatemala and all of those, where they've had days on top days on top days of rain. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm hoping that it comes further up to us and the forecast brings it. Oh, then we get a 30% chance and a 20% chance, but hoping those high pressure systems, they will pull it up, and then it doesn't happen. Are you understanding what I'm talking about? Are you connecting the dots? I know a lot of you follow the weatherman. He was on Sandra's show. A lot of you follow him. But it all makes sense when you put this into perspective. Why Panama, Belize, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and them, Suriname, why they are getting, in some cases, landslides, rains, days on top rains, and we're begging for it. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's making sense. But for us here at home specifically, it actually means the preparing for a drier, wet season. And we got data from our national Met office, our local Met office, that says the same. It helps us to prepare better when you read this information, and it is on their website, so that it's going to bring more pressure on our water systems. More careful water management should be at the forefront of our minds right here at home. For those, our brothers and sisters in Cuba and Jamaica, well, Cuba got their own issues dealing with, but this is only another layer of reality that is on those poor people. Jamaica as well, Puerto Rico, it means more drought cycles, more stress on farming and their water supplies. Yeah. This is facts. And I can assure you, you can question our local Met service and they will agree with what we're seeing here. Yeah. So when we talk about the ocean's warning signal overall, we're really talking about the future of our rainfall. And I have read those reports that have come out from the Cayman Islands National Weather Service, and it is aligning quite nicely, or actually lining up completely with these findings. Yeah, because we're really talking about our water, our agriculture, our daily comforts, and knowing that this helps us prepare and plan for our communities. And I'm really hoping that at the end of the day, all of those in our positions, because we have farmers who now have to pay for trucked in water, and we know that's not the same as God-given rainwater. Yeah. Finance committee happened. We were looking more at the cost inflation and cost escalation in food. This is another area that needs to be on the forefront. But this is also going to impact our daily lives. And just for the record, our phone lines are open. 936-8255. That's 345-936-8255. Feel free to send me a WhatsApp message as well. I'd be more than happy to have you join in on the conversation and weigh in on this. If you're a farmer, if you're out there working in the construction industry, if this is actually tying into home with the reality of what you're feeling. Like I said yesterday, we see the forecast. Heat index of 109 degrees Fahrenheit here in the Cayman Islands. We have pretty much for the past 48 hours have had a heat index, meaning that's the real field temperatures when you're outside of 104 for the past 48 hours. What is now forecasted for tomorrow is not 104. It's forecasted to be 109 degrees tomorrow. People with livestock, people that are working outside, people with pets, make sure that they have water. or if it is a case where even if they're under a shady tree, it can take its toll on livestock, animals, and human beings. And for all of you who like to go jogging and all that sort of stuff, please, heat stroke is real. Dehydration. Please make sure you hydrate yourself accordingly. Damien Henry has sent us a message here because I don't want to miss out any of the comments that may come up as I prepare to go into the impacts on daily lives, because this is connected. He says, through systemic greed, we have pushed into places in search of resources that was never meant to be disturbed. Nature has a way of restoring balance, and the world will always reset itself in one form or the other. We must be prepared for increasingly unpredictable tropical weather and natural disasters, because change is not a question of if it will come, but when. Be prepared. And Damien, thank you for weighing in on that, because this is real. Like I said, our forefathers, our seniors, those who have been out to sea, those persons who are working outside and in the agricultural sector, if they're honest with you, they will tell you straight up they have seen a change in our weather patterns. People have been talking about it, but until this information has been released about this blob that is being talked about here, and it's just by chance I stumbled upon it, they were not actually connecting the dots. And this has been happening for over 100 years. But with, of course, global warming, we're seeing where all of the emissions, the world is heating up and all this sort of stuff. We're seeing it right now in this conveyor belt that is now even impacting rainfall. Hence, I am bringing it to you today. So let's talk a little bit about how these changes in the ocean can affect everyday life, because this is where each one of us feel it most. And I am really talking about not in science, not in the charts, but in the day-to-day reality of living in the Caribbean or just trying to exist. We know for sure that when it comes to water, let's deal with water first of all. We don't have no rivers here. We don't have no rivers. Waterfalls here. Oh no, desalination or rain. Remember our brackish water lens? Yeah, that's why our conservationists and making sure with us developing and heading east, we have to look at all of those kind of things disturbing the last freshwater lens or brackish water lens that we have for farming and agriculture. And this is why certain paths that are being considered for the continuation and extension of that road has become so topical, because there is a lens that is in one of the footprints and they don't want to disturb that because of the vast amount of agricultural land that is in close proximity to some of the areas. Okay, so when you look at what we survive on, we depend on desalination, meaning turning water, using systems to desalinate salt water and make it into water that we can drink. And kudos to the Water Authority and all of the water companies that are doing a phenomenal job, because in comparison to other places in the region, I can say we are blessed, right? But what we're seeing outside of rainfall, with less rainfall, means more additional pressure on our water systems. If this, my friends, is going to be a reality, and this continues to slow down, and therefore hampering our rainfall, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to be totally reliant on desalination. Yeah. Because with that continued strain, because of lessened rainfall, desalination plants and infrastructure have to work harder. People will then start to pay more attention on how much water they use. We have been blessed thus far. And showers becomes shorter. Yeah. Gardens and lawns become drier, and the daily life being impacted. Then we go second. Let's take a look at food. Drier conditions in itself affects farming across the region. We know that. Because when crops struggle, food prices rise. Families feel it at the grocery stores. You know what we're importing? People are trying to do container farming and other sorts of vertical farming and other sorts of farming. We have our own challenges here in the Caribbean. Some islands are much better off, but just dealing with it at home. Speak to some of the farmers. That job is not easy. And I raise my hat to you, to all of you who have not given up, who have continued in it and is doing your part and playing your part in agriculture, because we know our environment here comes with its own set of challenges. We're flat, our salt content is high, our water table is very high, and that is not always fresh water, brackish water. Sometimes that's outright salt water. And what we then see, again, is that restaurants as well, when it comes to food, feel supply costs. Small shops feel it in their margin lines. Yeah. This and that's daily life being impacted and affected. Third, talk about the heat. Less rain means hotter, drier days and nights, because nights don't necessarily get cooler. We've had some temperatures that have remained in the high 90s long after the sun is set. People feel more tired. How much of you have heard people coming in from lunch and said, oh my God, I feel so drained in the past couple of days. I feel so tired. Everybody's like, I feel drained. Heat. We're going to have a heat index of 109 that's forecasted tomorrow. Children feel more restless. Seniors feel drained themselves. And guess what? Good old electricity bills increase because we're putting more strain and demand on fans, air-conditioned units. Even when you set them at 80 or 83 during the day, the cycle continues to run longer because that thermostat, even outside, is picking up the external heat. So you could say, why is it running? Why is it running? And you don't have it on fan. You have the fan even on auto. The cycle are taking longer because there's thermostats inside and outside. So your units are running. Your units are running. So you may say, but I turn up the temperature. I turn it up a little higher, so it should stop. The thermostat outside is reading the external temperature, and they're trying to calibrate to keep you comfortable inside. And guess what? For all of my ladies and gentlemen who are working outside, outdoor workers feel the heat directly. That, my friends, is daily life that is being impacted. So you sit down there and think, oh, she's talking about this cold blob all the way in off the coast of Greenland. What the heck does that have to do with us? You better stay tuned, because it's impacting our rain pattern. And it is impacting our daily way of life. Fourth, let's take in how it looks at health. Heat stress leads to headaches. Definitely hydration if you're a coffee drinker, if you're a Coke, soda drinker, that sort of stuff. Irritability and fatigue. Don't blame it on andropause. Don't blame it on premenopause. This is compounding additional stuff that is on it that can be brought on by what's happening and how it impacts our life. We are seeing with the dust plumes from the Saharan dust, people with asthma. Yeah, feel more discomfort as well. We had Alfred Reel that suffered for what? Almost 3 weeks, Alfred? 3 weeks? Suffered. Then we know
what the data has revealed about non-communicable diseases here in the Cayman Islands based on the STEP survey data. How much people have diabetes, high blood pressure, heightened cholesterol. Guess what? People with high blood pressure also feel the strain when we have hotter temperatures. And it impacts our sleep. Yeah, because if you're not comfortable, whether it's hormonal or not, yeah, there we go. That's daily life being affected. There's a fifth one. Comfort and routine. Simple little changes that we're so accustomed to. Walking outside has become a challenge. Well, if you're not running from mosquitoes based on where you are. Even running simple errands. I had somebody tell me the other day that they got into their car and it took so long, brand new car, took so long for even their AC to just reach a comfortable temperature that even when they had reached their destination, it was hard for them to get out of the car because by then they had felt drained. So that's impacting daily life. Running errands feels more exhausting. Outdoor activities become more uncomfortable. And people staying indoors more. So all for my avid football, cricket fans and all that sort of, God bless you. Just please keep hydrated. We're not talking about all of those, but thank God they have some indoor courts, I think, for pickleball. Yeah, but there are lots of outdoor courts as well. Just make sure that you're hydrating yourself. You're not filling yourself up with carbonated beverages and coffee, even if it's iced coffee. That can dehydrate you. Kids, it's summer. Kids are going to be outside more on their scooters and different stuff. Yeah. But this is no way of saying, well, make up your mind. Are we going to be inside on the game because it's cooler, or do you want us outside? Balance is key. I'm just making you know that outside is going to be darn hot in the next couple of days. And this is just the beginning of summer. It is forecasted to have heat indexes that go beyond what is forecasted for tomorrow. Yeah. So if we can identify these things now, hopefully it will prepare you for what's to come, and there are no surprises. Andrew is saying 109 in July. Global warming, no joke. I feel it for the construction workers and people who have to be constantly outside. The temperature is globally warmer. Yes, it is. It is. For all the gardeners and all of those persons who are out there, yeah, it's real. Don is saying, yep, don't come Lower Valley. We have excellent water lines. Okay, there you go. Andrew is also saying, water is becoming more expensive as it is vital to everyday life for everyone and everything. Yeah, and I'm seeing the debate now, the Auditor General's report and the slight increase that we had the other day. But now that we're putting this all into perspective, what is the infrastructure like? Are we able to keep up with the demand for what water services we have at this time? Maybe that now is going to be looked at under a fresh lens. When this data is showing what it's showing, you can look at the results and the forecast for rainfall based on our own local data, based on what scientists have found with this cold blob up here that is weakened, the conveyor belt that is slowing down, that is impacting our rain patterns, and then look at what infrastructure we have here in the Cayman Islands for making sure that we're able to sustain continued quality of water and not have to go to the point where we're actually rationing. So these are the bigger, wider national discussions that is all tying in to guess what? How the water, how seawater, how the current flows from the south to the north has slowed down, that is impacting our rain patterns. Yeah. Good evening, Miss Dorothy. So good to have you here with us. Andrew's also saying importation of bottled water for drinking. In Jamaica and other countries, they impose certain times when you can water your plants, lawns, and are fined if caught.
But you see, at least Jamaica has rivers and springs. They had a number of them that popped up in different places, I guess, after Melissa. Yeah, they are blessed. What they need to do now in places like Jamaica is be able now to understand this reality and protect what they have as natural springs, because this is serious. That is very serious. Connie is weighing in. Auntie, I will pay CUC. Me nah make blood vessel bust in my head. Okay. I mean, to each his own. I have heard family members say that. Look, I am going to have to pay it, but I am not going to do that, because at the end of the day, some of you have to do it because you have breathing issues, hypertensive, and we know what heat does. But this is real. This is not fairing you. This is not putting anybody into a panic. I'm just honestly trying to connect the dots and let you see and make it make sense. This is by no means even to dismiss forecasters. But when you go 5, 6, 7 days out forecasting, saying, oh, well, this blob of rain is further south, and, with the upper level high pressure, it's going to pull it up. The moisture is going to come up. With everything that scientists have found, even if it pulls it up, we're going to get less rain. So this is why forecasting, being pinpoint for the amount of rain, it's closer to forecast what you may or may not get closer to the actual date. You can no longer do it long range anymore, even with the best of models. 24 to 48 hours at most, I have been watching it. 3 to 5 days out is almost, I would not say comical, because I don't want to disrespect, they're the experts. But when you read and you research this flow, you can see where it's making forecasters' work become more challenging. And Connie, I think you have a family member that is there. If you can have the sidebar conversation and, validate what I'm saying, by all means. But their jobs have actually gotten more difficult. Connie is saying, I'm supposed to be traveling to Europe this month. I'm about to change my mind. Well, I had my cousin and his wife just came back from Europe. Hey. Woo. Go and experience it for yourself. But I can tell you this much. They prefer this heat. If you don't have travel insurance, please get a good one. Yeah. Because of the heat, on their leg back, they had cancellations or they missed their flight. So Connie, please go and enjoy it. The good thing is you've had the experience. Go and enjoy it. But right now with the heat wave that is over there, yeah, prepare to be hydrated. That's all I got to tell you. So I'm waiting to catch up with them over the weekend to hear all the stories. And I'm quite sure they were good to be in Europe. But we're seeing our people now using this summer to travel, and they're not expecting the kind of, how their rooms are. A lot of these places are built without air conditioning. Their buildings were built to hold heat. Yeah. So now with what's happening, it's in reverse. Windows barely open because they were normally always closed. Yeah. Miss Dorothy is adding in, it's very hot all over the USA, Cayman Islands and Jamaica. And it's because of what we're talking about here today. Some of the reasons is exactly why we're talking about it here today. Wake Up Cayman is weighing in on this topic. We are getting a little break from the heat here in the UK for now. You are right. It affects people's attitude and routine. With the last heat wave, my routine had to be changed. If you want to survive, you're going to have to change it. Everything it impacts. It impacts cost of living, even planning, and even the rhythm of community. Even the rhythm of community changes. It impacts everything. You may not even look at it until now we're breaking it down and dissecting how the weather impacts all aspects of our life. And I'm thinking of changing my mind. Don't change your mind. Go, girl. In that case, I'm asthmatic, have sinus issues and hypertension. So you see, I'm with you till I'm with you till November. Well, look, Sorry to be the bearer of this news to you, my love. This heat pattern is forecasted to go into at least the first quarter of 2027. I need you to let that sink in. The heat, not necessarily at these astronomical temperatures, but even Christmas is forecasted to be hot. Yeah, above average temperatures. So what does that mean for those areas that is further away from the equator? Is that they are going to get some heck of a blizzards. They're going to get some bad snowstorms. And for us, even though it may be cooler for us, it's still going to be hotter than what we anticipate or what we're accustomed to during that time of the year. So we may see this prolonged time based on all of the findings go straight into our new year. That's the reality. Andrew is saying the elderly in our communities who cannot afford high CUC bills, they will have to go outside on a porch or something with a hand fan. But even that comes with this risk because it is so humid that even with the hand fans, they're using energy and all this sort of stuff. We just have to honestly just come together as a community to do this because it does have its impacts even on our tourism product. It has its impact on businesses and tourism. Yeah. Workplace, everything. Operational costs are being impacted. Pressures are being seen on small businesses. And tourism depends on weather, right? It depends on comfort. It depends on predictable seasons. Hotter, drier landscapes, higher cooling costs, trying to keep your customers and patrons okay. The visitor experience. Outdoor may not be so appealing anymore. And tour guides, beach staff, construction crews, all those guys that work on the beach attendants, pulling those chairs, making sure you're freshening up those towels and all that sort of stuff. Heat stress. These are all things, and I'm hoping that those persons working in the hotel industry with that hot sun reflecting off of that sand, that they will have contingency plans in place, cooling fans, and just really think about this totally different. And also making sure those same attendants are checking in on their guests who are out there sunbathing. That may be another level of customer service that was not even thought about. You're on holiday. You're drinking a few alcoholic beverages, adult beverages, that in itself dehydrates you. And yeah, you go there and you fall off. God forbid. I'm just saying, your body overheats and you don't know what's happening. You don't know if there are underlying conditions. So these are some of the different things, tips that, we're not thinking about, that because of these heat indexes, because of the change in weather patterns, because of our drier seasons that we are in, because of the amount of construction, height of buildings, the heat that those buildings holds that then radiates when we're supposed to be cooling off, the heat then comes out of those buildings is what pushing up the heat index. The asphalt in the roads, the pavement, the sidewalks, the courts, all of those are emitting heat that is pushing up the temperature even more. Yeah. So this is reality. There comes a risk that it even impacts insurance, because what we're seeing is that with climate shifts can also mean higher insurance premiums for businesses and tourism operators, hotels, condos, restaurants, and attraction face rising costs because insurance see the risks. And if they didn't see it, oh dear God, I went open up my mouth about it today. Yeah. All of you guys at the theme parks who are going to, let's say, Florida, going to the water parks and all that sort of stuff, expect longer lines. but it doesn't limit the heat that's going to be coming off of that cement when you're going from one ride to the other if you're at the water park. Because you're at a water park, you're pretty much barefooted anyhow. But you know, if you've ever experienced any of those water parks, how hot the pavement can be until you get where you're going. Yeah. So these are things, the risks factor increases. And of course, work stresses, because outdoor workers are facing the heat exhaustion. So that can slow down productivity times. It's different if you're outfitting an indoor or working indoor. Make sure you're looking at ventilation and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So these are something to think about. My daughter, she says it's hot. Is she in Europe? Is your daughter in Europe? 𝗪𝗵𝗲 is weighing in and saying, speaking of farming, I wonder how the government grow boxes are going. I have never seen one. My watermelons are coming up good. Oh, really? It'd be nice. Share a picture with me one of these days. 𝗪𝗵𝗲. I'd love to see them. I was there in the last one, Anna, and I'm not doing it again. Oh, for what? The last heat wave? Where? What? You're missing me on this one. 𝗪𝗵𝗲 says, so true. Your environment forms your personality and the weather plays a big part. 𝗪𝗵𝗲 is adding on. 𝗪𝗵𝗁𝗲. Hi, Sandra. Can I get a number for you? This is Sabrina. 9368255 is the number for the show. But yeah, it happens. I get called Sandra all the time, but this is a Sabrina Speaks show, just in case you're mixing up the two. Damian Henry is also weighing in. 9368255. If it's Sabrina and that was a fraudulent slip. 9368255. Damian saying it's normally the winter season that impacts schools, educational providers. But now the summer is taking a toll with unexpected changes. And Damian, this is why I'm saying even when they go back after summer, because this heat wave is going to extend into next year, it's the same thing. It's going to be a change. And this is something that we have to look at. Yeah. Yeah. 9368255. 9368255. Let me see what I can do here. Woohoo. There it is on the top. And you can also send me an email if you so desire. So Andrew is saying companies probably should introduce flex time for employees, 7 a.m. to 2, 8 a.m. to 3. More work from home to reduce traffic congestion, lower rates for tourists visiting, introduce cooling zones in each district with solar panels. Now, then, Andrew, some people won't go to work because they're not using their utility bill. But for those who may want to stay home, I see exactly excellent ideas. Let's hope that they will actually see, maybe this is something that they're discussing amongst themselves, because not whether or not this is happening, this is, we're feeling it now. It is already impacting us. This is already a reality. We're seeing it. You're hearing the forecast. Just look at the way, if you follow the weather on your WhatsApp, you see the forecast is there. I'll be on a cruise in November. Good for you. Make sure you stay outside, get a cool breeze. 𝗪𝗵𝗲 is saying, we don't want the children to go back to school tired either. Yeah. I don't know how our bodies are going to calibrate to this, but this is why we have to really look at this in greater detail. Because at the end of the day, everything is going to be impacted. Our mental health and community stresses play a role. Some people do not connect weather with mental health or stress. Yeah, but it's real. It means that the way in which the weather is changing, rainfall, water, cost of living, feels every day. And when this is shifting, you've commented on it. There's serious changes that takes place. Yeah. There's anxiety. What if? When rain fall drops, water bill rise because you're using more. You're using it to top up your pools. You're probably taking more frequent baths. And if you really love a green lawn and don't have turf, yeah, you want to water that more, or your fruit trees or your ornamentals. Not because water is gone in this case, because the fear of water becoming scarce can have its own water anxiety stresses and impacts our body. And if we dig further into looking at more of our capabilities of our water infrastructure here, and we're realizing where eventually, as our population obviously continues to grow, the demand continues to be for the supply on our water lines and all that sort of stuff. Have we given them enough money in order to upgrade their systems, maintain what is there, and address any needs so that we don't find ourselves reality having water anxiety? We're not only dealing with that. When this shift in the weather patterns change, it doesn't mean that we won't be impacted by hurricanes. So there's storm anxiety that's built into all of this that impacts our mental health. Because, like I said, the slowing down of this conveyor belt doesn't stop hurricanes. People feel a bit more nervous during this time because the weather feels different. Storms feel stronger. Storms are stronger. Rains are unpredictable, and we could have what you can consider like a cloud burst where you get thunder and lightning and just these torrential rains, flash floods. Yeah, you're seeing it. That's all anxiety. People start saying, I don't trust the seasons anymore. What's the sense of listening to my forecaster? It's not making any sense. Yeah. When this happens, it doesn't limit our possibilities for the realities of a tropical storm or a hurricane. And that's why hazard management, Mr. Tibbetts and the crew over there are saying it only takes just one. That's all it takes. Yeah. When you're talking about then coping, because we have to navigate it, climate stress is real, but I must tell you, it's manageable. Connie has sorted out how she can manage hers. She just already said to herself, look, I got to pay the CUC bill. Some people don't have a choice. They're bracing for impact. They're probably going to cut back on what they buy for groceries. They're going to have to cut back on maybe how often they go out to hang with friends. Maybe over the summer, they would have, gone out a couple times, but no, they're going to have to do something to compensate for the usage of energy and cut back on something that in itself plays havoc on your psyche. But it is a way of coping. It's coping. Taking breaks help. Talking about stress helps. And just checking in, as Andrew alluded to, on seniors help. Because understanding what's happening helps most of all. Not a soul should be caught off guard with what's happening right now after today's episode. Not one person. I hope that it opens up the door, though, for our national weather forecasters, maybe in another format, to really explain and tie it into the realities of what we're seeing here. Because I'm a firm believer, when all of us understand really what's happening, even in layman's terms, what's happening around us, we as individuals are then understanding, we become less fearful, less confused, and we do what we have to do to just be more prepared. Yeah. Stress over climate isn't a weakness. It's just it's a natural response, to be honest with you, with the changing environment. Many of us says, well, look, what they're doing in India, Dubai, and all of this for all this energy consumption that is just warming the world. What we do here in the Caribbean makes no difference. Daddy making no difference, right? That's a fact. But we still have to learn how to navigate about it. And this is why I'm having the conversation together at learning, sharing the information with you so that we can learn in this space together. I'm making sure I do it. My conscience will set me free. Connie says, I give my staff 2 15-minute breaks, one before lunch and one after. Make sure they're hydrated, electrolytes, because I tell you, tomorrow is going to be a heat index of 109. I can't keep repeating that. 109. That's what it's going to feel like tomorrow. I tore up my lawn and used gravel. Good girl. How much hundreds did you save there? A month? Damien is weighing in. We are the ones feeling the pressure of global warming, not the decision makers. Well, unless they're living on another planet, Damien, they're also feeling it. But I see what you're saying. We can do our part by living with greater respect for the world around us, reducing waste, conserving resources, protecting natural spaces, and making mindful choices in our daily lives. We should also support sustainable practice, strengthen our communities, and prepare for the environmental challenges ahead. While no one person can solve the problem alone, collective action can help create healthier and more, and there you end it. I'm not even going to try to end it, but I see what you're going. But even with those decision makers, Damien, it's not like they're teleporting themselves someplace else. They would be silly to make decisions and not think that they're not going to be impacted by the same decisions. It may not hit them the same time, but I tell you what, it could hit them too. So, but I get the essence. I get what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying, but it didn't come through. It ended at and more. Okay. Andrew is saying either pay your CUC or the mortgage, rent, food for kids, seniors. Before this heat wave come in, my friend, Andrew, people were doing that. Yeah. It rough. Bulldog rough. It rough. And like I said earlier this week, we're all going through something, just that not everybody goes through or show what they're going through. They don't wear it on their sleeve. A lot of people are actually struggling. A lot of people are carrying a lot, and they're just living. They're showing up. They're trying to be their best. They're putting their best foot forward. And now we got this to deal with, a reality. Yeah. Andrew, we will have a new holiday coming up, Wellness Day. Maybe a good time to see introduction of a new alternative energy solutions. Well, maybe that's a new alternative energy solutions holiday between September and August. Yeah, but the government is actually trying to look for that. Remember, we only got August and September now where we don't have a long weekend. So yeah, but let's see what the government actually says on that. So Damien is finishing his statement here, or his comment here, and he's saying resilient future for generations to come. Yes, you're right. Otherwise, at the rate we're going, I don't know what we're going to be leaving behind for them. Live Happy says, oh boy, if someone can rig up my AC to a solar panel, that would be good help. I plan to turn my freezer up and on high and unplug it to compensate for AC. Wow, I didn't even think of that, because if you don't have a lot of opening, wow, Live Happy, that's an excellent idea. You see, look at that. And for all of you who may have freezers, fridge in a garage that is not temperature controlled, those appliances are drawing a lot, because remember, their motors are actually trying to compensate for their surroundings. So this is something, but that's an excellent idea. You just need to remember, plug her back in now. This is something else. But we should all be concerned when you see something like this, and it really deserves our attention, to be honest, because first, our increase in drought risk is a reality. We have seen it. Speak to your farmers. Everyone can see it for themselves. Less rainfall, longer dry spells. That impacts our farmers, water supply, and daily comfort. We're seeing it. We're having issues now where we should be putting a lot of focus and attention on water security with drier seasons, drier wet seasons that is no longer desalination. Workers or plants are under serious or increased strains. We're seeing where there's a possibility of possible continued increases, and conservation becomes more important. Then we see where food prices, because it impacts crops and buying it. This is not only here. We import a lot of our stuff. And if this heat wave has already had its impact on farms in the United States, yeah, crops in the region. When our farmers are struggling, Jamaica was recovering from Melissa. It's only now that they're coming back and their level of their crops, in some cases, are not necessarily at the same standard because they're still trying to replenish from Melissa. Yeah, we see when the quality then drops, sourcing becomes more difficult and grocery prices goes up. We see the stress. We see the infrastructure in itself. How much places in Europe right now that the trains hadn't had to stop because the heat was so bad? I saw the other day in the UK, a bus caught a fire because everything overheat and the people had to just exit the bus as quickly as possible because it caught fire. Our roads are impacted. Yes. Equipment and cooling systems work harder. So guess what? You're going to be calling your AC service and people a little bit more often to make sure. Maybe you're going to have to double up on even your servicing. Check on your, is it not a coolant? What do you call the gas to gas it up? Yeah. Everything works harder in hotter conditions. And like I said, insurance costs because the risks increase for our business establishment, which of course is going to impact their line. And tourism. We see where that is a huge impact. Huge impact for us in our income. So don't you think that in itself is not something that we should be concerned about? When we talk about the rain, this particular slide, I'm going to move this because I don't want this to block what I'm showing you. Remember the zones that I was telling you about the rain? What this summary is showing, we have zone 1, it's in green. That zone is Central America. That includes Belize, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And this zone, as we can see right now, sits closest to the equator. So it has, from what is being shown here, and I'm explaining this to you, it has strong, steady rainfall. Even as the rain patterns, the rain system shifts to the south zone. In these areas, it will stay wet and stable. This region is least affected by what we have seen here in the green section, which is zone 1. When you look at zone 2, look at what's at the very bottom, just below, right next to the red, the Cayman Islands and a portion of Cuba. Okay? The Cayman Islands right now falls under zone 2. And that sits north of the equator. So that clearly shows drying. Cuba loses rainfall as the rain belt, what we're seeing, will move south. And this zone is part of the high impact drier region. We in the Cayman Islands sit in zone 2. Yeah, we are a high impact drying region when it comes to this. If you even look at this, look under Cuba, see where Jamaica is, it's red. We are in that zone, okay? When you go over to zone 3, which includes the Bahamas and eastern Cuba, this is even further north. So it dries more sharply, meaning they will see the droughts even more. And the Bahamas already have limited rainfall. And in this particular zone here in zone 3, it shows stronger drying trends. stronger drought trends, longer times without rain. And this is one of the most driest sensitive zones. And what you're seeing there in this is Jamaica is smack into the middle of it. In zone 4, we see Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. Haiti as well, the Dominican Republic. It also shows drying, but not as extreme as zone 3, which means rainfall decreases. We will have shortened wet season, and a drought cycle also increases. Right? In 5, we're going around now, are always going down to the Lesser Antilles, which is Barbados, St. Vincent, Grenada. What we see here in this is that this sits in the middle of the Caribbean. And that area, it shows a slower way of drought, slower drying trend. Not as severe, but it's noticeable. And even though rainfall weakens, this region still will receive a moderate amount of rain. So this would be considered in one of the medium impact zones. That's zone 5. And you swing around now to zone 6. This sits closer to the equator, just like zone 1, if you look at the proximity. And this zone is wet and stable and may get even slighter more rainfall. Yes. As this whole conveyor belt for the rain pattern belt, the more that shifts south. And it's because of this that zone 6, yes, this zone is zoned as the low impact zone with strong rainfall resilience. So when you put this all together now and you look at what this slide is showing, zones 2, 3, and 4, the Northern Caribbean, dry out the most. When you look at zones 5, the Central Caribbean, that's in the middle. That's slowly noticeable, but not as bad. And then zone 1 and 6, the green and the purple, they're closer to the equator. They stay wet and stable. And this is exactly what happens when this, think of that map, when this line slows down, when the conveyor belt slows down, when it weakens, that is what happens. So when you look at these colors, there is one clear story. Yeah. So I'm hoping that that puts everything into perspective for you and that you'll understand exactly what is really happening. Because let me tell you, this is real. And I have another one here where it shows rainfall. Yeah, in March of 2025. Yeah, that one shows some rainfall of 2025. Let me make sure I get the right thing for this. Yes. What this shows in 2025, total rainfall in March of 2025, is the light yellow is very little rain. Anything on this where it's like yellow and you look right there where you see Grand Cayman and you see the sister islands right there, you can see that's in between. Yeah, these are quite interesting when you look at it. Very little rainfall. So this one shows us exactly what is happening with our rainfall. And the darker the blue is, the more the rainfall. So you can see exactly what's happening, what is happening in this slide. Here we also see another one that can be better explained because you have some oranges, you have a darker orange, and then you have some yellows that are plopping up on the screen as well. These also measures the rainfall that we can have here to make it make sense. So I can tell you this much, that we have so much to be thankful for here. that all we can do is just do our part. I just hope that, it all works out, that we have and we fund the necessary funding, or we get the necessary funding so that we can prepare for the realities of everything that's happening around us. But I'm hoping that you will see the importance of having these type of conversations so that at the end of the day, you are not caught off guard and you know exactly what is happening around us. Andrew is saying, I can only imagine the amount of your constituents who come to you expressing the hardship with paying utility bills. Well, no more. But yeah, I still get a number of calls, though, to be honest with you. I do. And but back in the day, it's only going to get worse right now. The thing is, a lot of our people are already getting assistance. Listen to what I'm about to say. But if it continues to go up, as we have heard callers here saying, don't cut me because things are increasing, even if they don't cut them and they're getting assistance for utilities, if the utilities continue to rise, then that's more money that government is going to have to pay for all those who depend on government assistance to help them with utility costs. Because even though they're not paying it directly, somebody's still paying the bill, if you get what I'm saying. So everything is going to be impacted and it's going to need funding. So yes, people had hardships with food. And this is why we were so active on the ground with trying to make sure we could have alleviated the stress during the summer to have the camps for 2 weeks, 3 weeks free of charge and provide the meals and all that sort of stuff. I applaud the government for putting on these sports camps, but I don't think anybody was realizing for all of these sporting activities, which kudos to them. I got to support them for this, congratulate them for this. But they're just going to probably have to put some more funding into making sure that our children are hydrated when they're out there out on the courts, out in the field. It's different if you're doing the swimming part because you're going to get cool. But with the football and the cricket and the other sporting things that they're having with these heat indexes, they're going to have to make sure that those kids are hydrated. So that could be funding that they never even envisioned because of the level of heat that is going to be out there. So yes, people are going to still need help. And I can see this becoming even more of an issue. But specifically in Cayman, we rely heavily on desalination. We import our food. We depend on that importation. We're seeing what's happening around the world. And if crops are being impacted, agriculture, regional, international, it's going to cost more money. Maybe some of the summer fruits we may not see in the quality that we're accustomed to. And that's why we encourage you to go to our local farmers market, support our local farmers. It's amazing what they have. But they may they just don't have the quantities for us to sustain ourselves by ourselves. And don't beat down the little people. Prices, they have their hardships and they have their own difficulties with our local farmers. Go and you support our local farmers. You buy their stuff. Best plantains I can get is there's a little thing by station. Yeah, there's a little stand there. Best plantains. Oh my God, they're good plantain. Yeah. 𝗪𝗏 sugar, but yeah, but they're good. But whether it's there or at the farmer's market, or your local vendors and farmers along certain areas across the Cayman Islands, support them. If you're not out there, you do not understand the hardships that they go through in order to assist with putting food on our table. I know some of y'all love this plantain with every meal. Best sandwich is a plantain sandwich. Yeah. But, so it is going to be a challenging time ahead, but this is why at the end of the day, when we go through this, we are aware of what's happening. You heard about the word sustainable, being sustainable, and people got turned off just by the word sustainable. It goes further than just being a tree hugger. It's far more vast than that. It's bigger than that, so much bigger than that, that we could be losing out big time because we do not understand what's happening in the world around us, what's impacting our rain patterns, what's impacting our weather overall. And if this continues, like we say, the droughts will get worse. And you see in these zones where the Cayman Islands sit. You see where we sit. We're in zone 2, which says the reality is if Mother Nature don't get her act together and revert, we are going to continue to get drier, which means if we're going to depend on desalination, we're going to have to bump up our electricity grid because that means we could get hotter. We're going to have to bump up our equipment and all that sort of stuff for water and all of that. Crops could be impacted, and how we adjust accordingly with outside activities could actually change, which means mentally you have to prepare yourself. Do I pack a lunch? Do I have to go out? If you don't have to go out, then just don't go out. Outdoor sporting activities, make sure you're properly hydrated and take more breaks. We see what's happening with FIFA World Cup, that they're actually taking these hydration breaks because those people coming from some of those countries that have never experienced these type of temperatures before, and they're out there heated already playing on a hot field, they're not used to that. So yeah, I saw one the other day where the coach was actually, he had to use a bottle of water to pour on his head. Poor brute. I felt it for him. Yeah. So government salaries were $700 million, according to the press release. This is alarming for the financial budget of our islands. Adding this to the equation will certainly increase the hardship. How will we pay for this? I leave it to the experts. That's Andrew commenting. How will we pay for this? Did they not tell you how they could pay for it? Based on the income and based on what we're seeing, that our markets are good, people are still interested in doing business here, and things are looking good. But when we speak about all of these realities and we see our infrastructure is being questioned, now we're looking at water because we're realizing that this is real where we sit. This is proven. And we're not going to control over that. That's Mother Nature at its finest, and the oceans are speaking. So with your comment, Andrew, based on the press release, where the contingencies should we have to beef up on our water and our utility, that sort of stuff is a reality. Funding the DFE for persons' utilities bills continuing to skyrocket. Cost of food. What used to be the average spend, let's say $200. How far does $200 get you right now if everything continues to skyrocket? That may have to increase. We see where the private sector pensions now, they have released that so that they can pull down a little bit more from their pensions because they realize the hardships. So they are making some steps in the right direction, but they're bigger things such as Mother Nature, that it's making its head, that we have been seeing it all along, but we're just now defining what it is. We're seeing the impacts. And this is only one part of it. There are other things that is impacting our weather patterns and so forth. But this is the strongest scientific data right now that is proven that it has its impact on the Rhine and its proximity, our proximity to the equator and the zone in which we sit in is why we, people in these zones, have to make national decisions, big national decisions, because we can't just move and slip into zone 1 or zone 6. We can't move. And we don't know. How long are they going to be there? What if Mother Nature has some more tricks up her sleeve? Yeah. So how do we build a sustainable future? You see the use of the word sustainable? And our people are still dealt with dignity. 𝗪𝗵𝗁 says, I feel some of the summer programs that are outdoors may need to be canceled. It's just too hot. Have the children sit and read library town balls, other activities in the air conditioning. It's either that or maybe some of our sports facility, indoor facilities may have to be something that is considered. But I don't know. I'm just hoping that they are aware of these realities. I mean, the forecast is there. Don't you all realize that I read the weather forecast before I even go into the news? How much of you really realize normally the weather is one of the last thing? Why? We're living on an island. A lot of our men out there depend on weather to determine whether or not they're going to go fishing and that sort of stuff. And the high tides, the low tides is very important. And this is why when I start with the weather first. Then I go to the news, unless, of course, it's breaking news. But if you notice, I start with weather first. It's been telling us, it has been hinting something is going on for quite some time. Have we been listening? Have we been paying attention? Has the message gotten out loud enough? Maybe we can do a better job. I hope that this episode of Sabrina Speaks has opened the door for a wider conversation to ensue, for those in positions come together with the realization, and you can go and fact find my research. It is proven. This is facts. This is facts. And this is also facts. Yeah, this is not conspiracy. This is facts, and it's happening. And even if you question it, you can't say that our downward trajectory in rainfall is not a reality, because that in itself has been proven. So I'm hoping that this kicks off a wider discussion on a more national level. And instead of just focusing on the what ifs, that we're also, as we're focusing on these what ifs, that we look further afield in our resilience, service, manpower, and equipment to weather a hurricane, tropical storm, natural disasters, earthquakes, whatever. But also bear in mind that we could have an aging system when it comes to our infrastructure for water. And we are going to have to look at that sector totally different when you see the data that's being released here and exactly the fact that we sit in zone 2. 𝗪𝗏𝗁 has a serious issue. Sometimes the east part of 𝗪𝗏𝗁 is literally, oh my God, please rain, rain, rain. And there may be a difference between our sister islands as well and how drier other islands are between our 3 islands. So go and fact find me. But the bigger message that I want to leave here is so that every individual is aware of what's happening. Mother Nature is definitely at work. It's going to impact us from our mental health to the way we live, to our insurance, to our tourism product, to just even how we commute back and forth. It's going to have its impact. So we're more connected to weather than you think. And that is why I bring you episodes like this of Sabrina Speaks as we continue to grow, build, and learn here, one episode at a time. That brings me to the end of today's episode of Sabrina Speaks as we ease on into Friday. I am excited about the upcoming weekend. And And I want to thank all of you for joining me. I want to thank you for your loyalty. I want to thank you for sticking with me and staying with me. Thank you for all of the food. Yeah, instead of flowers, which I don't mind. And all of the feedback that we're getting. And of course, you, each and every one of you, for showing up every day. Please do have a good evening. It's soon be kickoff time for all of my football fans and lovers. If it's not already started, knowing me, I'm probably an hour late. But yeah, until tomorrow, looking forward to a Free Flow Friday right here on Sabrina Speaks. Good night. Stay safe. God bless. Love you lots. Take care.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, K-Man, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.